Welcome to Guided Spirit Conversations. I'm your host, Marla Goldberg. This podcast has been created with you in mind to acquaint you with some of the most incredible metaphysicians and spiritual leaders from around the globe who have helped others change their lives. In this interactive hour, you will be offered insights and techniques to help you make a difference in your life. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite listening platform. And here we go, on to the show. Hello. How are you? Welcome. It's Thursday and it is Guided Spirit Conversations podcast day. And I am so excited about the show. Our guest today, Michael André Ford. Michael is an angel intuitive based in San Antonio, Texas, who literally helps people meet, hear, and see angels, guides, and other figures, even your passed over relatives and pets. How? Michael removes the veil. You get to chat with unconditional love figures. I love how you say that, Michael, directly and get any answers for any of your questions. All languages are spoken. Get hugs and much, much more. Michael helps you connect to the universe with no barriers and has been very fortunate with a camera. He has taken photos of angels, which people get to use initially to speak with angels. Later, a person can see full-on angels standing there, with or without their wings. Welcome, Michael.
Hi, Marla. Thanks for having me on, and good to see you again.
Good to see you too. I love this. I mean, I've had angel intuitives, but you're different. You come at it from a different place. And I love the fact that you can remove the veils to help people talk to their angels. But you weren't always an angel intuitive, right?
No, and I like you said, I definitely come at it a different way. So I'm a little bit of a shock to the system. There's a big holistic, wellness, spiritual landscape out there that's well established, but this is a little beyond what everybody's accustomed to. Yes, my background, East Coast originally. I'm in Texas now, maybe 12 or 13 years, but Wall Street out of Middlebury College for a few years before finding a long-term career in public relations. So I did business PR, put people on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, CNN, back when the media was much more mainstream, normal. But I did a lot of transacting, maybe 1,100 media interviews in a single year, a lot of business people. I was busy, but that matchmaking that I did back then between an expert and a journalist is essentially what I do now. There's 130 plus unconditional love figures, but throw in everybody else's guardian angels, their relatives, and so on. I'm doing the matchmaking all over again, and I've gotten a little less shy about it. I think the audience can tell.
Well, and here's the thing: when you first go into something that's new, right? You don't quite have the confidence that grows on one when you get more and more adept at what you're doing. At first, it's like, what's going on in our world? My world, your world, whoever is experiencing this, and then as you get more comfortable with it, you're able to share more without feeling odd, awkward, or like people are going to think you're a Looney Tune.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to point out like everyone's New Year's resolutions or where they think they're at in life. There's certain situations. My problem is a New Year's resolution. It could be diet, exercise, just going on a vacation, taking a break, switching gears in life, and then it escapes you. And so we all have a lot of thinking going on, and what we forget and we get reminded of with life crises, those certain special moments when you're here, and that is essentially a lot of the Hollywood movies too. Love itself. Love is. Love is all around you. It's within you. And then our job with thinking and ego and what we know, which is really strong, our sense of reality. And there's, 7 billion people, 20 trillion versions of reality in any given moment.
Yes.
We tend to forget what they're thinking, what it's all about here. And trust me, on the last breath, you're going to get it back for most of us. And then a lot of us are actively through mindfulness, consciousness, meditation, we're actively trying to get back into the moment. There's Eckhart Tolle and so many amazing, Byron Katie with getting out of thinking. There's so many great experts who have brought us to a certain point. But when you get to your heart, that's where I'm talking about. That's where the universe kicks in. And I'm sort of the guy who brings the horses to water, plays the violin, and hopes you both drink. All you have to do is get to your heart, let go and listen, let go and get hugs, and see directly with your own eyes.
So where does the mind work, play a part in this? I mean, because I know in meditation, we want to quiet our minds so that we could hear. We get our answers when our minds are not actively engaged in whatever ruminating it is going on. How does that work for you and what you do with the angels?
Well, thinking isn't love. So I'm going to
No.
keep it really basic. Let's just make one statement besides like angels exist, trust that it's so, and everything's going to come. Answers, hugs, and seeing. And I know that's a lot for folks, but thinking's not love. Thinking can't mow the grass. Thinking can't give your dog a hug. It can't be love. You're thinking about love. You're thinking about going on vacation. You don't go on the vacation. So I don't think a lot of us realize, and I didn't for most of my life, what thinking is, what compassion is at the other end of the scale. And there's a trillion layers of compassion. So
Yes.
there's something up here that's called awareness, and there's 1,000, 10,000 other ways to describe it. Conditional love, conditional thinking. And then there's getting to hear, and athletes know it because they're in the zone on the field, one with the soccer ball, 4 soccer goals in a row, and it was perfection. And
Right.
then ballerinas, musicians, artists, cooking, yoga, when you're in the flow, just going for a walk, reading a book and being in the book. But think of a hard day and you try to read the same book. You know, yesterday you read for 4 hours. Today somebody yelled at you, you got stuck in a traffic jam. You're up here. You touch that book, you only make it 30 seconds and toss the book. It's like your favorite song when you were in high school. It's not your favorite song anymore. The book didn't change. The music didn't change. There's constantly this up top that's trying to grapple with all the world around you and trying to give you sort of a steady stream. It's so much easier to say my problem is, my situation is, and to be stuck than it is to just be happy for no reason at all the time. And that's the crux of this.
And when you say my issue is my healing, the healing I need is whatever it is, you are proclaiming to the angels, to your guides, to the guardians, to your ancestors, what's going on with you and where you need help. Because as you and I both know, there's no free will on the other side of the veil, except the caveat is except at very, very unique circumstances where sometimes an angel or a guide will interject a situation to keep you from a car accident or stepping off the curb when a crazy driver is going to go too close to the curb turning.
Yeah, and I mean,
Right?
there's definitely no interference from the other side because I would phrase it this way. You have everything right now that you're going to have 30 years from now. You just don't realize it. Your heart's incredible. It doesn't know any limits. It's ready to go. And
Good.
yet, what we know up top, and I'm going to call a lot of that knowing, and take everything I say with a grain of salt. But a lot of that knowing precludes possibility. It blocks your own growth. It blocks your heart growth. Your lifetime here is meant to be more joy, more everything else. Think Abraham Hicks a little bit, Esther Hicks, law of attraction, and so on. But the more you let go, the more you flow. And I mean, I help people see auras, but I'd like to just call it consciousness, angel light, the flow between your dogs, between your kids, the trees, everything around you. You can see consciousness as well. That's a lot to take in. We're all stuck up top, and there's a lot of philosophies, a lot of religions, a lot of self-help gurus, Tony Robbins, everybody trying to help you out to get from here to here. And that can take us decades. It can
So
take
when you say here to here, mind to heart, because this
mind
is
to heart, mind to awareness. And I'll say awareness is a great way to say it. More awareness is needed simply to let go of your thinking. And look, you're not going to let go of thinking for the rest of your day. It's just not in the cards for humans at this point. 7% less thinking a week, twice a week. Remember to remember if you can remember, when you remember. I always joke. But I'm borrowing from Songyal Rinpoche, and he's a Buddhist fellow. He said it first. I don't think anything I'd say is original. So
it's so funny because I'm writing a book, and that's sort of what I'm writing is that, what I'm going to give you, I'm saying is this, but really it's not, because whatever I'm writing about is well known, whatever, because people hear it. I can't get into the details of the book until I get more but do you understand what I'm saying is that nothing is really new.
yeah, and I
That's
mentioned
what it comes down
the
to.
Buddhist term non-duality. I got stuck on that. For some reason in the 90s, I'm in New York. I'm in my first ever apartment, Upper East Side. And I just wrote it into a diary, non-duality. And for 25 years, I didn't have any professor to call up who's an expert on Eastern philosophy. So for 25 years, I wondered about it until I got to Thich Nhat Hanh's book, Pieces Every Step. I'm sitting at a car dealership, a friend of a friend, or the wife has given me this book, and the only non-sentence in the whole book is blah, 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 non-duality, period, not two. And so when we talk non-duality, that's just two ways to be: thinking or unconditional, conditional love, being out of the present moment, being out of life, being dental floss almost, like Scrooge in Christmas Carol at the beginning. And then being in the heart, awareness, connection. It's when you can breathe and appreciate. It's when you allow. A lot of A's. Allow, appreciate, gratitude, patience, love. You're not getting a real hug listening to a person that you really like, and true listening, unless you're in your heart. Everything happens that's amazing in life when you're here.
Yes. Yes, it is. When you're in your heart, that's when it's like you could look at your heart as like the giant magnet of life.
Yeah,
And
and
when you're there,
yeah, thinking pulls you right out, bam, and
yeah,
you're missing your life.
exactly. I agree with that so wholeheartedly. You had mentioned orbs. You had mentioned floating lights.
Yeah.
Now, I know that people have found them in pictures or in videos. Um, what are these beings that are the moving orbs in our world?
Okay, so I've taken a lot of photos, and it was first. I'm like a super slow guy about all this. Like, it took me 2 years, 6 months, 2 months to learn something, and I think I've made it look just really ridiculous. I've got
Seamless.
many war stories where you throw me under the bus and laugh at my expense, and yet you'll learn it in 5 seconds. So when we say orbs, that's a really popular thing to do these days. But sure, there are some balls of light, different colors, amazingness. I've got a shot of an Austin concert where it's endless balls of light, angels. But it wasn't raining that night. Anything else? If other people had been holding the camera, they would have gotten the shot. But I also have silhouettes of angels. I have actual outlines with wings of fairies. It goes on and on, different shapes beyond orbs. So I get away from that terminology. I get away from pretty much all the terminology. Just my only thing is to help a person get out of their head into their heart. And then if you can own it individually, picture 5 people comfortable with each other, 5 sisters, they're all getting along. They can group see, group hear, group feel, all languages. If you're from Japan, get it in Japanese. I just feel so lucky about this because I'm off the hook. You're not listening to me at all. I just tell you some dad jokes, help you relax. And again, ditch where you think you're at. We're very limiting in how we approach our lifestyles
It's
without
true.
knowing necessarily. Yeah.
It's so true. So, dad jokes. I think we need to hear one, and I think you need to explain why you tell these dad jokes, and how it works with the process.
Sure. Now I'm quoting Mother Teresa here, whether she was alive at the time or whether you've met her nowadays over the veil. She's fantastic, great sense of humor. I can't remember which quote was from when she was alive or recently, but laughter is love. I love that one. And so if I can help a person genuinely laugh, there's very few out there that can fake a laugh. You're in your heart, you're ready to go, you're ready to ask and receive. You allow, ask, and receive. So here's the first dad joke for the audience. It's Sesame Street, and no one has to remember Bert and Ernie. But Bert offers Ernie ice cream. And what's good old Ernie say? He says, "Sure, Bert."
I
So
love that.
it's a great reset. People get tense. It's kind of like the dog that doesn't want to go out the door for a walk and you got to drag him, which you don't. But all of us are like that. I was like that. I'm still like that. And I don't blame anyone for knowing what they know. They're great. They're fantastic right where they are right now. But my message is, hey, angels exist. I've got a gajillion photos. I used to hand the camera to folks, but now you can just see with your own eyes. I'll get you there. I start with some photos just as props to help you feel comfortable. I mean, static photos, historical. Bill Knife,
Which,
Richard Geronimo, Sai Baba, Audrey Hepburn, an angel.
which
Um,
people can buy on your website, which is michaelandreford.com.
they can.
Check it out.
I delayed for 4 or 5 years on that. For $3, you can go pick up an angel photo. But a historical photo of Audrey Hepburn will wink, smile, move, allow for it. The eyebrow goes up. Everyone gets to do that. Same thing for Sai Baba. But a ball of light, a pink ball of light. Joy is the very first angel that I show people. And the bottom line is there's the pink
Joy
ball.
is like a pink ball.
Yes, and she'll move and she'll change colors. It's what will you allow for? And at the beginning of all this, anybody in the audience is absolutely fine. They're like, what is he talking about? So backing up again, I just started having angels appear. I was seeing balls of light. when I was typing up the book, or just a lot of little stuff. But I freaked out, as any good American would at the beginning. And I'm grabbing intuitives by the lapels. I didn't know, 5 of my friends in Austin were already intuitive. I had a close relation who was intuitive, but I never got it. I got goosebumps. I trusted what the person said. I totally never doubted that. So I feel very good about that looking back, but I just couldn't grasp it. It's like the Russian ballet, and you're not into ballet. So now it's awareness. It's the athletic prowess. It's how you approach yoga, making a salad, and you're a chef, and everybody loves your chef salad. Whatever it is that's your passion, you're there in your heart. It could
Right.
even be mowing the grass on that once a month time when you didn't hit the flower bed. You had great music and you did it in half the time. I guess I'd do it a different way. If you could see your flows of energy in each moment, let's say red is from up here, and I hate to say it, it's a little bit of negativity most of the time.
So up here is in your mind or in your eyes?
If you could just see how you were flowing all the time with your energy, blue from the heart, and you
Okay.
smile at a neighbor, they smile and wave back, you have a moment. You give a hug to your dog, all the blue stuff. If you could just see how you were flowing, I think you'd be in shock at how more often than you thought you were wasting energy. You were out of the flow of life. You weren't doing any good. And I mean, for yourself, for others, whatever. So when we run around and we judge, react, stress, fear, worry, all those things, you're not doing it from the heart. Love is fine. Love is accepting everything as it is right now and getting to the act of living life. I'm going to quote an angel who said, "Life's not a routine. Live it." Now, good luck with that. That's 20 years for a lot of us to get back into the living mode. We knew it as a kid. And so what I love about this is you get angels, you get Sai Baba, Mary, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, a lot of figures, Native American chiefs, figures from India, Einstein, Gandhi, Plato, Socrates. But they're great teachers, and they don't have to deal with thinking like we do. So they just give good, unadulterated, fun, amazing advice. You have no privacy. So it's really how fast can you roll with a pen? And then I try to teach no pen, no photos. So you could be on a canoe in a lake in a pinch, your iPhone went into the water, you don't have a photo anymore. You can just ask and listen.
Yeah, it's true. But you have to get out of your head to be able to hear. And
Or
that's
any other activity. A baseball player, if they're up in their head, it's called a slump. And same thing, if you think something's happening to you, it could be illness, it could be anything. Think about it. Divorce. It's the other party's fault. We don't want to, it's so much easier with ego, with our thinking, to compartmentalize and just not allow and go with the flow and move on to the next moment in life. All moments can be the same if we want to go really big picture, but good luck convincing me or you that a dentist chair is the same as being in a Tahitian, being in Fiji or Bali on a beach. There's no way those two are the same. And yet somehow all moments can really truly be the same when we're out of thinking. And you could be happy again for no reason whatsoever. So that's why laughter, breathing, smiling, could be just stretching, doing something silly, anything to break the routine of up here. And that's the true challenge. I know we're all running around with a lot of causes right now and a lot of let's change the world and everything, but it's the flows of our energy that contribute to global unconsciousness or global love, depending on if we're talking here or here. And a lot of people right now, and I'm quoting a Native American chief passed over, said, he said this, I think, like in 2015, a lot of people in this generation like to use the excuse of the rat race for, to compensate for the lack of awareness that our generation has. A lot less being down here. We're so busy. Busyness or business. We have a lot of excuses to be on that iPhone and not taking in nature or just looking at a sunset or going for a walk.
so true. Now you have a tip. I know I'm sort of jumping, but I love this. And I said I wanted to make sure we brought it on the show, and you sort of brought it up because your tip is, I'll let you say it. Do you have it in front of you?
I have so many tips.
Okay. Smile more, think less. Breathe more, think less. Laugh more, think less. Allow more, love more, and have fun.
I love it. And a lot of that came from angels over the years. So after I've heard it about 1,000 times, I know how to repeat it. I'm really slow. I'm not kidding. So if I can do this, anyone can do it. But that's my skill, is helping a person take that leap. It's going to feel like bungee cord, bridge, and jump. or jumping off a cliff into the falls down below, or a hot air balloon ride. None of these things would I do in real life. And so, we're all clutching to what we know, whether we know it or not. It's easy to be married to a job. It's like a suit of armor, and you don't want to let go to explore a little bit. First, yourself. There's an entire world inside you in your heart that you rarely touch, and that's living.
It's so true, but a lot of that comes from how we are raised, by whom we're raised, how we're raised, and the experiences that we run into, which which will cause us to stay in our head rather than go into our heart, which is the awareness part.
Yeah, and it's what will you accept for your life story? And what are you telling when you retell your life story, when you make statements, you're reinforcing it with that energy again. Now, thinking generates nothing but red bricks. And I'm talking those ugly colored ones. I don't know which ones those are, but we've all probably said at some point, wow, those are the ugliest red bricks ever. But we're making walls with those bricks. And freedom happens when those walls get removed. So the only time you're going to get freedom is here. The sooner you learn to drop to here and just start practicing, I'm talking twice a month, 30 seconds each time. That's it.
Could you guide us into dropping out of our head into our heart as
Sure, I'll tell another dad joke that does. I like to slice right through it all. So here's one more dad joke. It's Santa's reindeer, Blitzen, Dancer. Just those two. You don't have to remember who the reindeer are. Why do Blitzen and Dancer drink so much coffee? Because they're Santa's Starbucks. But that's why they say breathe or smile, because there's no one entrance point into your heart. It could be just this is thinking. And this open hand is you letting go. It's letting go of the rails, the railway lines up here, and walking away from the railway tracks, from the rat race. I know we think it's big institutions, corporate America, but the rat race is actually all of us up here. And we're just talking easing up 7% a week. That's it, for less thinking. And I think there's a lot of groups out there saying 10%. Good luck trying. Ego wants to grab a clipboard and hijack that effort. Even if you liked anything I said today, even if you met angels for 5 hours, you can shut up tight or get clammed up tight like an oyster, to mix my metaphors here. You can tighten up right after meeting angels all over again. And for 2 years, never do it again. Try to avoid your heart. It's that vulnerability. I'm going to slaughter her name. Pema Chodron talks about.
That's right.
Vulnerability where you feel like you're being destroyed, but the only thing that gets destroyed is your version of reality. And I'm not talking surrendering or anything like that. There's a lot of lingo out there. I'm talking about just basic letting go. If you run into somebody at the supermarket you really like, and you're like hanging on every word, you're doing real listening. You can't be thinking about the laundry in the machine at home or what you have to do tomorrow. You're actually just in your heart. I'm going to say it one more different way, and this is so important. It's the crux of everything. You're already a master at being your heart, and I'm not a big fan of that word, but you're already an expert at dropping in there. You do it when you brush your teeth, and you're not agonizing over 2 Tuesdays ago in the left molar. You do it when you hit the light switch. You just trust that the light's going on. You do it when you fall asleep at night on a good night. You just fall asleep, and you don't agonize over the next 2 days. Did I do it right? It's also the same thing with sports. There are certain sports you own, or a video game. Any activity, just drinking tea, you're the tea type, who drinks tea on the porch. Getting into your heart is so much easier. It's when you drive and you're not upset about the traffic and you're like, wow, where was I the last minute? I was safe. You're letting go. And that's why meditation is so popular today, consciousness studies, mindfulness. But there's no one group that owns all this. Again, ditch me, ditch all of them. I'm going to point out that angels are suddenly here and more available. Same thing with spirit guides. Same thing with light beings. Your wisdom. I'm going to borrow Seth from the 1970s, the light being. You can meet him. You're going to have to go through what you know into your heart, through the world you knew, into a new world of just openness. Don't get too caught up on the trappings. You don't have to run off to an ashram in India for a year and chant. Nothing like that. I mean, you can, but and you can meet Indian figures when you close your eyes and sit with them and do all that. India comes to you. But my point is, the entry point is here. It's the gateless gate to do some Zen Buddhist stuff. The wayless way.
That's yeah. It's I'm so right now into this conversation. I'm like okay, and what's next? And I'm hanging on every word.
You've got Joshu you can meet. You've got and I slaughter his name. I'm sorry. I'm the last guy for pronunciation for anything, but Lao Tzu. You can meet him, and they instruct. but they're not here to interfere as well. If you're every life stage that you're in, and you're in endless life stages, a life stage could be 2 minutes, 2 months, 2 years if you're a slow learner. And it's not just one lesson, it's multiple, but then there's another mini mission that comes along. You get another angel who's your team leader or limo driver for that life stage. Look, we're not used to being able to get any help 24/7 without having to go to a computer. I'm talking from the universe, from here. Can you park what you know long enough to do basic listening and operate, one of these? A
Which
pen.
is a pen.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the level of difficulty. But if I go off to scientists right now and I'm like, hey, you know, scientists are supposed to be open enough to pick up on the clues from the universe to learn what they need to learn to advance science. Well, you can just meet Einstein and ask him a question and get an answer. No level of detail is off limits. If you're asking about your neighbors, you're going to get told to move on. So I guess there are some boundaries somewhere. It takes a lot of guts. I say you deserve a small monument in the town square if you can even allow for this and have the guts to park it, get to here, ask, listen, write down your answers, get some hugs, and then see. But trust me, it's like a bike, it's like a car. Every time you thought it was a big deal, and now do you ride a bike every day? You don't even think that's a big deal anymore.
Right. Right. It's like
So,
your rite of passages. And as you get older and you learn to ride your tricycle, then your two-wheeler, and then you start going into motorcycles and automobiles. And there's just phases and phases to go through. And that's what we go through. You had mentioned hugs, getting your hugs from your angels. I want to talk about that. How do we get our hugs from our angels?
ask for a hug and feel a hug. I'll challenge people right now, for anybody who's even a little bit intuitive, which, by the way, all of you are angel intuitives all the way. Just get out of your own way. Give yourself permission to let go. I'm getting goosebumps everywhere right now. Wow, crazy. Give yourself permission to let go. Number one thing. You do have a higher self or soul. You can see that with your own eyes. I just describe it as northern lights. It's a direct experience you see. Connect to yourself. Connect to the big you. Connect to the universe. Get out of your own way, though, and let angels do their job. So if you're a little bit inclined, and all the surveys in like the UK and America say angels are, happy figures. We like them. We like our movies. It's a Wonderful Life, and so on. So it's in our culture. Just get out of what you know. Be in your heart. If you have to put a hand on your heart, do it. Take a couple breaths. Exhale like a whale. Do something to shake things up. Do a chubby checker or Elvis. Anything to make you giggle at your end. Close your eyes if you have to, and then silently be like, "Hey," to my whole cheerleading squad, including my passed over relatives that I like, the nice ones, not Frank who died owing you $10,000. Ask your cheerleading squad to give you the littlest hug. The first one will be like one single goosebump on the left arm, a whoosh, yummy in the tummy. It could be a wind in the room. There's 1 million ways to get a hug. Ask for it and receive. Allow, ask, receive. And that's the formula for all of this. Get your answers, get your hugs, see. There's healing involved. The hugs can become healing. What will you allow for?
It's true. So Sherry says, I was hugged by Michael. He showed up and it was amazing when an angel touches our heart. So confirmation of what you're saying. And
Yeah.
speaking of Archangel Michael, the movie Michael, opposed to, now they showed John Travolta in that movie, being a little bit randy and being a little bit irreverent. Would Michael in spirit form be that irreverent, or would he be as he has been talked about? This
Well, no. On the
powerful.
other side, it's unconditional love, and it's I don't want to say focus. It's still not the right word. There's no hierarchy. There's no organization the way I view it. But it's unconditional love. They're just here to help, and they're not going to get baited into proving their existence. That's something that Archangel Michael said. There's a pretty famous scientist out there on the Watkins 100 list that I got to talk to like 10 years ago, and a lot of emphasis is put by these institutions or scientists on trying to prove it. That's not what this is about either.
No.
Just the act of trying to prove it blocks you from experiencing. It's like trying to prove the hugger that you love your dog. Just go play ball with your dog and enjoy life. And guess what? You'll probably get more research done that way. Period.
We'll do that. Oh, yeah, but I just didn't know if maybe through some of your visions with her or exchanges with Michael, if Michael was just this very strong, warrior archangel kind of, that's how I see him, as this strong warrior kind of archangel who's a protector, and but he does much more than that, opposed to the way he was portrayed, having like a pound of sugar on his bowl of cereal, and just behaving in irreverent kind of ways. I'll put it that way.
All I find this little, I've got it right here, a quote from Archangel Michael. But angels can show up in human form. So there are some human rules that apply. I think the movie Peaceful Warrior Gymnastics, like an adult Karate Kid, is a great one. There's Angela, Angel-A by Luc Besson. That's maybe 2010. They shut down Paris, black and white. There, you've got a skinny, tall, lanky, blonde angel chain smoking. And at one point, her ward, a slightly criminal element, and it's a great movie, but a little bit of violence, so I don't totally recommend it. They're sitting at a table, Paris Cafe, and he's like, hey, how can you be an angel and be smoking like a chimney? Now, she curses in the next response, but she says, I'm immortal. What the blank do you care? And she's down in the duality as a human, so to speak. So she's just living more on this plane of existence. Now, that's, again, back to John Travolta and Michael. I can do it this way. I was meeting with my glow stick Zen, one of my books, a ginormous book. Read Listening to Angels. Don't do glow stick Zen right off the bat. I'm sitting in a cafe, a Starbucks, and there's a woman dressed in Santa Fe, New Mexico garb, all in white, turquoise jewelry, maybe in her 40s or 50s, elegant, looks like Audrey Hepburn's sister, real presence, staring at me the whole time. And it stuck out forever. Now, that was Charlotte, an angel, who's one of my business managers, who helped me do some branding and other stuff over the years, popping in as a human. So yours truly asked the really important question, which is, do angels drink coffee when they're doing a pop-in as a human? And the answer was yes on that. So here's something from Archangel Michael, direct, and I think this will sound angel enough. It's in my Listening to Angels book, just it's part of the conclusion. Regarding those humans who go far, far out of their way in life to declare that angels and more cannot possibly exist, Archangel Michael has a reply. And I'm going to do one caveat. When I read this, it was the one time in 12 years that I was like, oh my God, that was really forceful. It was serious. To me, it's been very light, easy, and always the most appropriate. The best response measured all the time, the most supportive, love. So here's what he said. We are here to help and offer unconditional love. Take it or leave it. There's no need to expend energy on those who don't want unconditional love. We still offer love to them, but we won't be baited into proving or disproving our existence. Many are aware of us. They just do not listen to us or trust in us on a day-to-day basis. And I think that highlights sort of what Geronimo says. If you go to my webpage, michaelandreford.com, I've got 20-something quotes from angels, Mother Teresa, and so on, scrolling across the top. There's one from Geronimo that talks about, you're unconscious more than you realize. You still own the consequences, whether you're ignorant or not, or you're aware or not of where you're at. And so that's what I was talking about with that. If you could only see how you were flowing, you'd catch yourself more often. You'd be like, oh my God, I just zinged myself. I judged myself. I said I wasn't worthy of this, or I couldn't do that, or I tightened up just listening to the news, and I should have lightened up.
Well, listening to the news will tighten you up, especially today.
Yes.
So you have your unconditional love figure. So you had said there's over 130, but your favorites seem to be Audrey Hepburn, Geronimo, an angel named Dale, and an angel named Heather.
Yes, Heather shows up as hearts. So you can see a little heart, if you want to call it light energy. I've got a ton of photos where she's either made the heart, not finished the heart. I've seen her in human form in Stockholm. I was running a half marathon. I was there 4 days early. I'm at their stadium. There's an Olympic stadium from, I'm going to make it up, 1912. Looks like an old Viking castle on the outside. There's no one on the track. I haven't seen anybody. In walks a UCLA track star, drop dead gorgeous. I was afraid to talk to her for the first 15 minutes, but I got to talk to her. It made my whole trip. And it was really Angel Heather in disguise. But the same story for Maui. Flash forward a bunch of years. I'm surfing out there. I met a Portuguese ballerina taking time off from life. And it was, again, Heather, a pop in. It made my vacation. It made my month. Same thing with a Halloween party store where you get your costumes in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. I'm stuck in like a concert line 3 blocks back. I'm not getting into that store for an hour and a half. I'm the dead last person. But up walks just a celebrity type, we'll put it that way. I got stuck with her in that entire long line talking with her. So again, I was probably 30, 27 at the time. My whole month was made just by being stuck in that line with her, and she was chatting away with me. So I'm trying to say that there are no limits in life. Good luck convincing anybody of any of that. But yet, it's constant love in you and around you if you'll just trust 1% more.
It's true. And yeah, I just lost what I was going to say, but I'm agreeing with you because it is all about trusting what you get. When you're first learning intuition, you might hear a voice in your head tell you to do something, but then you go, no, that can't be real. Why am I, this is just me telling myself stuff when it's no, this is your clairaudient kicking in with guidance and information. Be aware, pay attention, and listen to it. And here's the thing, if they don't want to believe that this could happen, they're never going to hear it again, because if you disbelieve, you disbelieve. But if you believe and you're open to it, you might be a skeptic, but if you're open to receiving, then they will, in my opinion, take you from being a skeptic to a believer.
Yeah. And so you're saying something absolutely on point. I even grabbed a sheet because it's spot on. Something that, again, everything I say came from angels. So I hope no one thinks I'm eloquent or anything like that, but it's belief is power. And so letting go is power as well. And those are two major cruxes or points here. Catching your thoughts before you accept them as fact is power. Because again, every situation is changing. Now, there's thousands of great experts on the self-help, spiritual, woo-woo-woo, philosophical front still alive, helping out.
Yes.
Byron Katie. She is like forgive me, Byron, if you're listening, but like she's like a muffler mechanic. Same move every time. Are you sure that thought is absolutely true? She gets you to kind of agree and say, well, it's not absolutely categorically true. There's room for John, who I'm getting divorced from, maybe isn't the biggest jerk in the world. And the next thing you know, you've opened up space for the universe to come in, for you to breathe easier, for you to allow and facilitate your own transformation, because it's perspective. And I like this. We're now borrowing from Wayne Dyer. Perspective changes everything, anything. If you can just change perspective, what you look at changes. And that is your power, is to learn, again, the difference, how to shift and drop down like a gear shift in a Ferrari, your Magnum PI from that
Yes.
80s show. And so exploring, your opportunity is to embrace the actual opportunity of life itself, exploring yourself and the world around you as it already is, as it really is. And now that's where thinking comes in and says, no, 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 no. So-and-so's a jerk. I like the word angels gave me a long time ago, and I've embraced it. Complexity. That person's complex. If you don't like somebody, yeah, call them complex. Leave it at that. Don't feed them your energy, your attention. I'll do it a different way. Where you put your focus is where you put your focus. And I love those redundant phrases. I'm a champion at that because you can't get in trouble. Everything else I've said today, you could pick apart and say, well, what about this way, that way? If you flow out of here, whatever I've said, that version of it, the same sentence, is going to be incorrect. Absolutely. There's always people in Eckhart Tolle's symposiums or seminars that raise their hand and say, at minute 6, you said this. I totally disagree with you. And so we're talking about something that's beyond words and beyond disagreement, and that just is. And you know it as an athlete, you know it as an artist, when you sing, when you dance, when you cook. It's when you connect to your higher self and your eyes sparkle. I'm borrowing, Audrey Hepburn told me this one. You shine, you sparkle, you let go, you're one with life. That's what we're talking about. It's when you hug your dog. It's when you play ball with your dog. But think of it this way. We look at our iPhone and we say, I meant to take you for a walk. I ran out of time today. Sorry. And your poor pooch is like, and they're unconditional love, but they're like, I'll wait till tomorrow. And it's 2 weeks later, you actually took him for a walk.
So sad. But I get it. I get what you're saying, but the visual of the poor puppy, because I'm such an animal lover, the thought of having the dog cross its legs for 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're letting them out the back door the easy way. They just run into the yard.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for doing that for me.
It reminds me of Winnie the Pooh, too, where there's a famous quote, everyone talks to animals, no one listens. It's just another way to encapsulate this whole thing. We're all outbounding all the time. We're making slapstick judgments, instant judgments on ourselves, everything else. We're not giving peace, love a chance. Think of Martin Luther King. Think of the 70s. Love. How often are you hearing anybody talk about love, acceptance, unconditional love, patience, allowing for the other person to transform. Sure, they're complex, they're a jerk today, but with a little bit of love and support, that's the only way. And I think we're talking Buddha now. Hatred does not cease with hatred.
No.
Only by love is there transformation and growth. Now we're getting all kind of hokey and Disney and so on, but my point is that is actually the only way through your heart. No one can tell you a thing. Your own journey begins when you figure out how to get that door open, and there's no trying. There's some of those institutes on the West Coast trying to force that door open for years with big global symposiums bringing in physicists, the whole quantum physics crowd. You can chase all you want, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to eventually, and I think I'm a little ahead here, 10 to 15 years, you're going to have to learn to trust your heart, let go, and let the universe do its job. And that means an actual figure. Think of a barbecue in the backyard. You have a fantastic backyard, best landscaping, but there's Jesus in jeans and a white shirt, Mary, bunch of angels, your passed over relatives, and they're all without ego, without thinking, and just giving you good advice, great sense of humor. Go to your barbecue and get some help.
I like that. I like that a lot. I do want to share with you, when we talk about being in our head and not believing, what I tell people in my practice, if you're a skeptic, that's fine. I welcome you with open arms, open mind, open heart. But if you don't believe, it doesn't make a difference what I do. Nothing is going to shift and change in your world. And it's more about, if you don't believe, save your time and money, because it's just exercise in futility, because you won't receive what you want to what you think you want to receive. The only way you will is by being curious, allowing.
And that's something I'm really good at, is helping a person. If a person can ever show up to me, I mean, I get a lot of inquiries, but the person's already asking so many questions, they're just not ready. You can't tell anybody that they're not ready. It's going to be 2 more years for them. But in person or by Zoom works fine. I'll blow sage and you can smell it through 2 screens. I had 2 Brisbane, Australia podcast hosts get it. I had a New Zealand one who, the article's on my website, she wrote it up, mentioned smelling sage half a globe away. Now she's a healer, but she was shocked. And then I did a Melbourne podcast host. I'm not on his show or anything like that, but it took him 7 minutes and like 5 dad jokes. And here's the best laugh. He's like a Russell Brand. But when he got it, he was almost jumping around his office. He was like, oh my God, I smell it. And so what I'm talking about is mini miracles. You ask for a hug, the hugs can become healing. Colorblind people have seen colors. You can see colors beyond human definition. I guess what I'm saying is, mankind, we know what we know, and as humans, we know what we know, but it's awfully limiting. And that's where science puts it out there that they're out to discover stuff. But wait a second, 2 weeks later, their discovery is already old news and there's a new discovery. Why not slice right to it and start butting up with the universe a little and take a chance? Ask and receive and get a little bit of work done. Real research work. I mean, guess what? That scientist who does the asking is still going to have to go a little more gentle. It's a little like Christmas Carol, but we forget that Scrooge was really cool at the end of the story or the movie. The scientist has to loosen up just a little, and they're going to sneak in questions about their family. Hey, I'm not having enough fun in life. Am I even at the right workplace? Get your resume career help from angels.
I love it. Hey, we're going to hang on 1 second. It's charity shout out time, and we're a little bit late. But as everybody knows, this is my way of giving back by highlighting the charity of my guests. And yours is a great one, especially in lieu of what's going on in the world. And that is Chef Jose Andres World Central Kitchen. Great organization.
Good work everywhere, whatever the disaster is, or if it's war, in this case, Poland and so on. I believe if I've picked a good one here, you know how they've got the ratio for $1. I mean, yes. It gets close to the full amount of $1 is going to actually help people. So I recommend them. It's on your website, and people can follow up. There's tons of press on him. So
he's an earth angel. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about Jose, Chef Jose. He is an earth angel, because for anybody to take their own personal pursuits, put it on hold for the well-being of people or situations that leave other people in distress and in disaster, and that he will put his stuff aside, his personal, professional stuff, and come to the aid. Now that is an earth angel.
And that's action. And that's what I'm talking about here the whole time. It's why Geronimo ends up being one of the most popular figures. If there's 100 plus angels, I'm not counting all the people's individual guardian angels or extra helping angels. I mean, there's probably a couple hundred angels. There's at least 30, 40 other figures, Native American figures. But Geronimo is action. He's dry wit, humor. He can steal the show. He's like a crazy Zen master in that he knows how to just reach you. You have no privacy. You're not getting judged. This is just unconditional love. But he's action. Now, the chef we're talking about knows how to get stuff done, just slices right through. And we think of that as a success thing. It's why so many of those business books, there's a self-help section in the business section of any library or bookstore or used bookstore. Hit it. They're saying the same thing that the self-help author or the spiritual author is saying. It's get out of here, get to here, stop thinking you know what you know, start acting, act without thought. I would argue is the number one way to be compassion. Just do it. Nike bumper sticker.
Yes, just do it. It's a great way of doing it. So please donate to Chef Jose. His website is wck.org. Very easy. wck.org. World Central Kitchen .organization, and help them in whatever way you can. He serves tens of thousands of meals 3 times a day for people who are going through very, 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 I can't even see, there aren't enough varies in my vocabulary to extend how challenged these people's situations are for them. Let's make it a little easier. Yes.
Now imagine if you got a meal from him, but you also got an angel. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's an app. Maybe it's a single photo. Maybe somebody by then, this is 20 years from now, the next disaster. But pretend you're eating your soup and you're actually able to chat two-way with an angel and you already started to feel better because you're in a tight situation. We've all been there. It could be just familial or family. It could be getting laid off. You're going to feel horrible initially. No one gets a layoff and likes it. You get bad medical news, but it's not the end of the line. Most of the time. The point is you ask and you receive, you get actual answers, but the hug can become comfort. You can strip away the layers of thinking that don't do any good. It's like an onion. And unfortunately, all your thinking is not going to go away, but you can start to catch yourself when you're flowing out of here that serves no purpose. And I'm afraid humanity still is very married to thinking. That's why I'm only suggesting 7% a week would be the Olympic gold medal. Olympic gold medal, number 1 in the world for letting go. So 2% twice a month is what I always joke. Good luck. But catching when you're up here versus down here, you're living your life when you're here. You're not dental floss.
In your heart, yes, you are living your life when you're in your heart. When you're in your head, and I'm talking about my experience in life. When you live in your head, which I did for decades, you miss out on so much. When you open your heart and you live down in the heart area, and it really isn't down in the heart. It's just that we're talking about human physical anatomy, and it's lower than the mind on a body.
Exactly.
But it's not lower than the mind when it comes to feeling, being open to receiving. That's higher than the mind, in my opinion, my analogy.
Yeah, a higher vibration.
Much higher vibration. You mentioned auras, and what happens when people see auras?
You're seeing them already all the time. And the best way I could describe when you actually let go to see the flows, it's how your navigation system works. You're at the supermarket and you're in the milk section. You needed to pick up the milk. It's still 20 feet away, but you see 2 men arguing and you feel the vibe. You don't have to see the energy, which again would be red or whatever color you want to make for negativity. But you go, oh, you know what? I got those 2 other items 5 aisles away. By the time I come back, they'll be gone. You don't want to walk over there. Whatever that's about, that's how you're judging, or you're like, oh, I don't want to even see that person. You're at a train station. You're like, I'm not going to stand here. I'm standing by the nice couple over here. You're using it all the time. I just help you pull back the blanket that's covering your ability to see. And it's how, again, athletes roll. It's how you know certain stuff. If you're, name something, an artist, whatever, you just go intuitively in a certain direction. And business people are amazing at it. That's why I love business people. They know what they want. They put themselves out there for basic listening and they get it done like that. But you can see energy right now. Anybody who's even slightly intuitive or just slightly gung-ho, give yourself permission to let go. Catch a ball of light behind me or out of 90 degrees, wherever you're at. Catch the littlest ball of light. There's an angel named Penelope. She'll do a little white ball of light the size of a big pen tip. Just a little ball of light, a little wiggle. Allow for an angel to show up right now in your vision. You don't need a photo. Just ask.
Yes. Yeah. And they will show up. See, what you were talking about is more what, as an energy healer, I look at as you feel the energy, the empathic feel of the energy that somebody is putting out, because your aura, your etheric body, your energetic body can go 8, 10, 12 feet.
You can expand out, but just
Yes.
a bit lighter, and we can all see a flame. And just
If
as an
you're watching this rather than hearing it, yes.
Yeah, when I saw somebody take a bundle of sage once to seal off my property, back when I was having to learn how to own the concept of living in my own space, I moved 25 to 42 times. I never viewed an apartment or a house as my space. But I did a survey says with young and old, and everybody was like, yeah, no, I live here, I come first. So I had to learn to own that. But they sealed off the property with a bundle of sage. And then a young one came over, and before it was sealed off, they put their hand out. They could feel the before and they could feel the after and the difference. And I was like, what? So I grabbed a candle and I remember putting my hand over the flame to see if I could even feel anything. And yeah, I mean, not trying to get anybody burned there, but you just saw a flame. For those who are so inclined, let go of what you know and see what you can see. A few people will get this. If my finger is a Bic lighter, you can see a little bit of my energy here. It'll be white,
Yes.
yellow, green, gold, blue, 5 colors at once. Anybody needs an extra help tip, leave your mouth open and breathe through your mouth. Just a millimeter is fine. I'm going to tell you one more dad joke to give you the space so you can drop to your heart. You're seeing with your heart. You're seeing with all of you. You're doing the Zen thing, seeing without seeing. And my finger is getting hot now. So here's your joke. What do you call a fish with no eye? FISH, drop the I. I needed that explained to me a long time ago. So you can see a little bit of my energy here.
Yes.
Put your hand up against a blue sky and start to see your energy. There's so many ways to do it.
Or a white wall. Anything white, you can put and that's where I was taught to see energy. We would put people up against a white wall.
Yep.
And look at them and look at them and look at them until we were able to get out of our heads into our hearts and get the vision from the third eye rather than the two eyes that are in our head.
Yeah, and in the last 2 or 3 years, it's expanded more because now, pretend we had, again, we'll use the 3 sister example, and they're all getting along. They've gotten over meeting angels. Yeah, they've heard a photo speak back. They've seen directly. They've gotten hugs. They're like, okay, fine. Yeah, I'm a little like, wow, that's a lot, and it is. But you get over it. Now, you can see your flow between the 3 sisters. You can whoosh energy. You can understand that everything is consciousness. And you can meet Joseph Campbell, Power of Myth. Remember Bill Moyers, that series?
Yes.
Bill Moyers spoke at my graduation. I hope he's not listening, but he's an interesting guy. But you could tell in the conversation he was there, but he wasn't as sharp as Joseph Campbell, who's been teaching it, living it, breathing it. Angels gave Joseph Campbell an A+ for following his path. He never met his angels, and we're getting a little off track. Joseph Campbell, though, at one point, critical point in that whole series, said, I think energy is consciousness, or consciousness is energy. Everything's energy.
Yes.
And that's what I would get to is you can actually see that flow between you. If you went to a giant department store and both of you are comfortable, you could see your light flowing between people. Ballerinas, a musician band group, you could see their harmony.
Yes.
We'll call it harmony. So you really can let go. And we'll take it one more extrapolate out. I like Disney. I mean, I'm kind of a sucker for the fun stuff. So you take those 3 sisters, they can get a fireworks show where there's no chance of catching anything on fire. Indoors, outdoors, daytime, nighttime, from angels, from fairies. You can have fireworks done and you're all like, oh my God, that's so pretty. Butterflies. You can see as many butterflies as you'll allow for coming out of your hand, flying around. Now we're getting way off track because right now most of the audience is like, wait, photos of angels, how is this even possible? And that's really all of us. That's all the wellness, woo-woo-woo spiritual communities. I mean, we're really right now still in the mode of we have to listen to other human beings. We've got experts on this, that, and they're telling us stuff. And we got to read the book, do the seminar. They brought us an amazing way. They've taught us that awareness exists, that there's something about this. Seth,
Right.
Jane Roberts, was it, who set the
Jane
whole...
Roberts, yes.
Yeah. So Seth has some great material in there. It's a little long, but the current Seth, if you talk to that light being now, he's much more like, you get it faster.
Yeah. And Bashar, I love Bashar. So I don't know if you're familiar with him or not, but he's channeled by a gentleman by the name of Daryl Anka. And I just love some of the things that he says. But one of the things that always sticks in my mind, and this doesn't necessarily appeal to angels. But if you take the word relationship, you can exchange it out. But what Bashar says is a relationship is just a relationship until it's not a relationship anymore. And you can say the same thing about thoughts, our thoughts until they're not thoughts anymore.
This
It,
too shall pass.
yeah, absolutely everything. And, they come into your life for a reason, season, or a lifetime that's said for a reason to get you to understand that not everything is permanent. Us as humans try to grab onto things and hang on with our might when these are things that are supposed to just ebb in and out, come in, have us learn about it, go out, and move on.
Yeah, and the human mind really likes to seize on roles, on fixed perspectives, on limiting, on concrete thinking, really. So, yeah, that neighbor may be a jerk, but if you could show kindness, you may be part of his or her transformation. And again, if you could see your energy when you're judging another, you'd be like, whoa, I was completely opposed to that on paper, and I didn't think I was being negative, but you're actually contributing in a small way. You're connecting to that global unconsciousness. It's why Star Wars is so popular or unpopular. But dark side, light side, all that, the Force. I can do Yoda's voice if we need to do it to make the audience laugh. The point is, like I love to remind people, and again, this is from angels, is that positivity is abundance. And catching yourself, before you start reacting to people and stuff, just be like, whoa, learn to own that button that's your heart, to hit it as much as possible. You can get your answers for business, hardcore business answers. Forget McKinsey and Company. Hope they're not listening. But why $20 million and wait a year for 1,000 people to pour over your business operations when you can get your answers by the end of the day and act on them? So,
It's so true.
very instantaneous. Same thing with health. Always see your doctor, take your medications, get your shots, but same thing on all fronts. If you've got the guts to show up here, ask and listen, maybe there is something in the universe that's bigger than our little cupcake of thinking.
I love that. We have to end on that statement, but it was a great statement to end on. Michael André Ford, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. Check him out, michaelandreford.com. Check out his books on Amazon. Wait, I have it here. 1 second. I'm going to give you this. The book where you can find it is amazon.com/author/angels to get his latest book, which is Listening to Angels. Thank you. So thank you, Michael. I appreciate all you shared, your enthusiasm, your dad jokes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to thank Bridget, my right arm, my left arm. Don't know what I'd do without you. So grateful for you each and every day, and definitely each and every show. Thank you. I want to thank you, the listening audience, for taking the time out of your day, out of your life to be a part of this show. And for sharing your comments and questions. Remember, if you'd like to subscribe, you won't miss one exciting episode of Guided Spirit Conversations. In addition, if you go to my YouTube page, the same name, Guided Spirit Conversations, you can watch or listen to all my archived episodes. And as of tomorrow, April 1st, I will be going into my 4th year of Guided Spirit Conversations. So thank you. It's all up because of you and my guests, like the amazing Michael André Ford. Thank you. If you're going to be in Charlotte tomorrow, I will be at the Bag Lady at 1516 East 4th Street on Charlotte. So if you're around and you want to say hello, stop by. I'm doing in-person sessions, spiritual response therapy, and past life regressions. So if you're interested in learning more, stop in and say hello. Would love to see you. But I do my sessions remotely. Check out what I do and how I can work with you at Marla Goldberg and goldberghas2rs.com and see my blogs, my inspirations, as well as how I work with my clients. Okay, and before I leave, once again, I'm going to ask for prayers for those people of Ukraine, the military, those volunteers fighting, those who are trying to leave, those who can't leave. Let's put a bubble of protection around them and around the whole country. Let's give prayers of support and resources to the countries that are around Ukraine, like Poland and Lithuania. And let's do this. And I know this might sound outside the box, but this person really needs this. Send love to Vladimir Putin, because anybody who's capable of doing such heinous crimes and act as such a war criminal and have such disregard for life really is somebody devoid of love and really could use it. So please send some to him. And as I leave you, as always, I send you love, blessings, and gratitude. So grateful that you're in my life in whatever capacity you're in it. And I'm going to say these words to you. So if you haven't heard me say them today, it's a first. If you have heard it, it's just another layer of I love you. You are loved. You are never alone. Ask your angels for help. Michael will tell me, will agree with me. Talk verbally, verbalize the requests of what you need from your angels. And until next week, stay well. Take care now.